cats and criminals and the stupid YouTube. Yeah, I was at Pete's for dinner last night, and he had a look at my floor. I've got a broken floor out the back, and it wasn't that broken actually. I fixed it myself. And Pete had a look, and everyone needs a builder friend, Pete. And just propped up the joist with some bricks, and probably last a while longer. Yeah. And so we were watching some YouTube and some, what did he put on? Something like the year's best fails. Accidents, basically. Human accidents. Cars, trucks, skiing. Yeah, just fucking an hour of watching people hurt themselves, basically. It's just insane. Yeah, I don't usually do that kind of mainstream stuff. And every time I'm there, they have the One Network news on as well. And it's like, fuck, talk about zombie land. Like, this is it, New Zealand. Like, I've become really desensitized from the mainstream memes. And I see the propaganda channel on there, and I feel like the zombie apocalypse is like totally the mainstream. It's like, no wonder I have a hard time, being this Renaissance man, enlightened guru, pathologizing his mental illness everywhere. Which, I probably have been. But I wanted to draw an analogy between, like, being in Bunnings, wanting to ask the staff members when I was looking for bits to fix my floor and my handles. And so I had all sorts of little doodads go wrong on the 100-year-old house here, eh? So I've been trying to get the doodads and put them back and do it myself, bro. Which, I tend to. And, there's a few wins. There's a few wins there. There's a few home maintenance things that, I'm capable of repairing. A bit of issue. But I wanted to ask one of the staff members, what do you do if your country's been taken over by woke Marxists and who do you go and talk to if you think that, and it's the same if you're, what if culture's just turned into a massive mental health concentration camp, and it's and chemicalized and dumbed down, and that even though New Zealand's got a light version, perhaps it's actually a really strong version because we're such gullible idiots, and we have some of us have a relatively good lifestyle. I realise I'm saying that from a position of dropout lifestyle property on the very low end. But I'm very lucky to be in Port Chalmers and whatnot. But yeah, the gap, the economic gap and the stress in families, and I'm talking about my solo parent, domestic violence, emotional, narcissistic, emotionally violent, sexual, promiscuous, childhood at the time, and how that's affected me, and how I'm still being, get PTSD responses from being myself in this country and doing what I'm doing. You can't tell anyone. You can't go up to a staff member at Bunnings and go, help, these things are happening to me. I'll get the counsellor. Well, fuck. I'm sorry. You know, done it all. Done it all, mate. Done it all. You know. So, yeah, I mean, if you're struggling with legitimate mental health issues, and they're not actually mental health issues, they're actually sort of some kind of psychic response in the well-being. If you're actually having a well-being immune response to what's actually happening to you, I mean, I think, the analogy of getting raped is obviously an extreme one, but it is a good one because it feels, you can feel it. Of course, being raped is also a number one fantasy of most women, I think, statistically. Rape fantasy is right up there. I'm sure there's a bunch of neo-feminists going to jump down my throat quoting all sorts of derivatives of that. But I'm not talking about rape fantasy. I'm actually talking about being violated. And, if you have a strong immune response to that, you probably got a good immune system, and one would actually want to both repel and destroy the person raping you. And I think that would be appropriate in most cases. But yeah, that's bringing it back to some kind of limbic brain thing. So, when it comes to cultural mental illness, because I do believe the whole culture's inculcated in a pathology that it's completely blind to. But then again, so are most of the individuals in it. So it's not surprising that the collective manifests some of the parts, or the other way around. Is it the dirty puddle that makes the drops in the puddle impure, or is it the impure drops that makes the puddle impure? And who are we to judge what purity is in a system trying to clean itself? Hard to know these things, isn't it, folks? Yeah. Some people just call it the human condition, of course. Dealing with collective ego, pain body, individual ego, pain body. I think, a lot of my ranting around the role of woman and child in this culture is completely legitimate, because as far as I'm concerned, we are talking about a remake of the human species. So underlining a lot of my personal gesticulations and localized social warning bells, which, well evidenced everywhere around us, for people that actually are going to talk about anything relevant. And, I border on feeling like a misogynist sometimes, but I know myself to love women a lot, and always have, And it's a confused relationship when your only parent is a woman, the authority and the emotional tyrant and the master, and it fucks kids up. It fucks kids up, and of course, the parent's probably a narcissist as well, and in my case, it's certainly true. Certainly true. There's no objectivity in that. So, God as a mother may be true, but it might be quite a dark, unstable, and self-centered God, just like a tyrannical Big Brother state, you might say, with AI surveillance and post-human concerns, meaning a massive herd cull, and then very Orwellian tech, surveillance tech, social credit tech, fake money, Money's already fake, but faker money, all the control mechanisms, all the spellcraft of, a highly controlled future population. Biobot stuff, no freedom, or redefining what freedom means, safety, 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 and sanitize anyone's gritty bits, like make it safe, make it all insect protein ice cream, you know. Yeah, yeah, like living in a fake simulation is going to be preferable to reality for most of the millennials, because that's the way they've been programmed, you know, by the eugenics, social norm. That's where we're heading. It doesn't take long. It takes a few generations. Where are we going to be in 2050? Are we going to be anywhere in 2050 for that matter? I saw some YouTube clip advertising the fact that we're supercharging layers of the atmosphere, with those Hadron Collider energy machines or whatever. And I'm like, is that bullshit? I'm going to have to watch it to see what he's talking about. So I wouldn't be surprised, because, the catastrophe cycle, micronova, sun belching event that happens every 6,000 years or so, is due. And I think the triggers to that are, coursing into the solar system, and with our weakened magnetic sphere, we're also, just like a dilating cervix, able to take up that cosmic information into the system, making us hotter and more prone to being weaker and flipping our poles. So, I mean, that's a plausible mechanism as far as I'm concerned. So, maybe worrying about, caverns underground and future AI humans is, I mean, it is a funny obsession I've got on, safety and the end of the world and all these sort of, nightmare apocalyptic kind of visions. But it's not like it's not like I'd be the only sensitive, to be worried about those things, or it's not like it's it doesn't actually make anything wrong with me, to think about those things, because it is a fairly stable meme of our cultural mythology. It has been for a hell of a long time. I think Revelation might have been on about such things as well, just as a historical reference. So yeah, and that's part of that's part of the sort of problem with being in my position, being an artist that thinks he's talking to everyone at the same time, and yet probably talking about reasonably occulted things in a lot of instances, and it gets taken the wrong way by a lot of people. I'm never really sure who I'm talking to. I'm never really sure of my context, is what I'm saying. And yeah, that's both as an artist and as a person, I'm never really sure of my context. I'm actually really don't know how to fit in anywhere. I mean, has been said to me by a few friends recently, get a job, for inclusion, for normal, for making some money, and it's like, every time people say that, say, well, I've got a job, like, it doesn't earn any income at the moment, but I do actually have a job. There's things I can do, and I've always treated it as a job. And I mean, part of my spinning out lately is redundancy. Like, artists have very little agency or money anymore in our culture, because we're reduced to a luxury product, and there's very little sort of social conscience in art anymore. It's been purely made into an academic hobby sport of a class structure, and even that's a programmable propaganda one, and the unwashed masses certainly have no agency anyway. They're all on Facebook in the gutter. So, this kind of moral middle class, chin scratching, existential politic that I keep trying to have like some caveman, is a moot point. It's just girls in retail shops being popular, with the other bitches. It's just schoolyard semantics the whole way through. I mean, show me, an important social conscience art exhibition in New Zealand, please. That isn't just fashion. That isn't just neutered by, the bleach of, PAP consensus, lifestyle privilege. I think telling the truth and being an active member of your culture is important. And if I have to do, selfie talks every morning, well, fuck it, that's what I'll do. It actually does make me feel better, and I like the sound of my own voice. I'm good at articulating the curly problems fairly deftly. I'd probably really like to be interviewed on the radio, you know. Or I'd like an intelligent conversation with people that don't agree with me, but at least we can have a conversation. I'd like to think I wouldn't end in swearing. But, all of that requires a robust, robust culture and a vaguely mature culture. And I keep saying, if we don't like the script, we just ignore it. We just ignore it. That's all we do. If it's not on point with the robot program, we just don't acknowledge it. That's what happens in New Zealand, It's really frustrating. Yeah. Anyway, I have gone lengthy again. Thanks for hearing me this morning. God bless. I'm going to have to make a point to try and talk more about God as well. It's probably a good idea.